Hey, this is Sour Savior, and today we're going a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna put together some of the things that we know how to do, and we're gonna make a secret entrance that's flush with the ground and does not require any flying machines. This build requires one slime block and three slime balls to make sticky pistons with. So it's pretty achievable early on in a survival world. So I've colored this one block differently from my fake ground here just to make it easier to find. If you're using it for your own secret build, obviously you'd make this the same color as the surrounding blocks. So we press this button and then we move forward off of the slime block, and now things get covered back up. And if we want to get out, that's actually my favorite part of this. You stand right in the corner, press the same trigger, and it launches you up, and the floor fills in behind you as you land. So how does this all work? So the sticky piston with a slime block on it here at the bottom, that's pretty essential. That's what's going to launch you up. And then we've got this configuration here with two pistons pushing another piston and a block, which then extends. So right here you can see we've got the power being fed into this block and this block. I could actually get rid of this entirely, but I like the stability of using a repeater. That means if more dust gets thrown down here somehow, this block will stay powered. So the timings on this are essential. This piston needs to be on a shorter delay by at least 2 ticks. That is 2 repeater setting ticks to the one that's powering these blocks. So what happens, let's get rid of this torch. When I power this, this will become powered, but the piston won't be there to power, so it won't matter. And then after a short delay, this becomes powered, pushing this piston into place where it will receive power and extend the block to fill that empty spot. And then when I deactivate the power, because this activates first, it also deactivates first. So this piston will retract and then be pulled in by the other 2 pistons. As you probably know, an extended piston is an immovable object, but a piston that's been retracted is movable. Now we keep this powered on by default by running an inverter compared to the other parts of the machine, so that our secret door is closed by default. And some other essential points to note before we start actually building this: these terracotta blocks that I've got here can be any either immovable object or object that is not dragged by slime. So we're talking obsidian, furnaces, terracotta, or pumpkins make great options for this part. And so that's any block that's going to be touched by this slime in either of the 2 positions that it uses. And this button here, you can't bring it in closer than this, because then it will power this piston directly while it's active. So it needs to be not adjacent to this piston. And that's why it's down here in this block space. So let's build this. We're gonna, normally you dig down and build it in the ground. I'm building it up here in the air so that we can see all the parts. Laying down a fake ground that we can build it into. Right. There we go. So we dig our hole here. And now pistons. We want the pistons to be back here so that when they're extended, they push the other thing in line with the hole. I'm going to just temporarily remove that block so that I can drop a piston facing up right here. And then we'll put our other colored concrete there for the purposes of the build. So now that we've got that, we want to put in our mechanism for powering it. I used some solid blocks here because you can power the solid blocks and it'll still work on the pistons. Now while you're doing this, I like to use a redstone torch to test so that I got my wiring correct as I go along. So yep, that works. And actually, let's extend that out. Right, so we want this just slightly lower. Don't need this block. And that's at 1 tick. Let's see if it works. Yep. So now we'll retract both of these, connect them, and let's put in the torch to make sure it works. There it goes. So it works closing and it works opening. Great. It's an important step. Now let's bring this down for the redstone line that we're going to connect to our controls. And then we'll connect that in a little bit. Right now what we want to do is get our slime block in place. So making sure that we're lined up with the pistons. Right, because we want to be exactly the clearance to stand under this piston. So there it is. And that worked out nicely just because when I built this other one, I started from the ground up instead of doing it top down. So the timing on this can be a little tricky. I got the timing largely through trial and error, but the essential thing is that it should be activating 4 repeater ticks after the repeater that's retracting the double piston. So since this one is set to 3, then I need 7 down here. And now we're going to want to build our platform around the slime. Just going to surround it with these non-sticky blocks, just like in the other spot, and build a little bit of a floor around it. Let's get a button. So this button's how we're going to activate everything, which means behind it we want to have some redstone dust to connect up. And if we push the button, you can see That's enough connectivity to connect the dust. And this part is very straightforward. We just connect the dust. It's less than 15 blocks, so we don't need any repeaters. And now, when we push this button, there it is. And then to activate it from the top, we add some dust like so, and a button up here. Because this redstone dust technically occupies the entire block, this gap, it isn't really a gap. There's a block, there's redstone dust, and then there's a block. So the button activates it, and it works. And then we need to wire up to connect to this piston down here. And you don't really need to be particularly fancy about it. You can just bring the redstone down any old way. And now, if we stand here, just like over there, and you can see I have these two things wired slightly differently, and it doesn't matter. Now they match, pretty sure. But the wiring, this is all going to be hidden underground, so you can really be as sloppy as you want as long as it connects. And then once you've got it built, you probably want to fill in some of these blocks with whatever. Because I know I personally like to have my redstone mostly behind walls and things. So you can walk up to here, you can see the slime, you can see the underside of a piston, but that's about it. You push your button and you go up, you push your button and you go down, although, right, on your way down, you do have to be moving. Why is this? Okay. It worked a minute ago. There we go. You have to get out of the way in a hurry. Now we've demonstrated before some ways other than buttons that are a little more hidden that you could activate this. You can use any activator you want. The button's not important. And there you have it. A flush with the ground secret entrance that you can use to get in and out of places without having to build anything above ground. Thank you for watching.